Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer. Jim Breuer.
Jim Breuer.
You know, I'm fascinated with anyone's life journeys. So today's in my opinion, an incredible life journey. And if you started with me or my generation of MTV, Eric Nies, I think he was towards the end of really my generation of watching MTV, but doesn't matter. MTV was one of those. I'll tell you how powerful MTV was. It completely molded a generation. And when I say that, I call it the great revolution of control. They really tapped into the youth with MTV. So you don't realize it when you're in it, but as time moves on, you're like, well, but I'll tell you how big MTV was. I was 3 years in Saturday Night Live, and I always get recognized here and there. I did one summer on MTV, and I couldn't walk anywhere in New York. It was unbelievable, the amount of publicity and awareness after one summer on MTV compared to multiple years on Saturday Night Live. It was mind-boggling. So to go from that to as an adult of where he is now, I love where he's gone. So without further ado, I hope I say it right. Eric Nies.
What's up, brother?
Eric Nies, is that the way to pronounce it right?
Totally not offended. It's niece, like your niece and your nephew.
Perfect. Eric Nies. Boom. Eric, first of all, where are you?
I live in Hawaii.
Okay.
And I'm inside my yurt.
I love it. So how do you... All right, so for people that do remember, we won't get into the MTV journey. It's so long ago, and it's like people bringing Saturday Night Live up to me. I'm like, okay, you want to go back 40 years? Sure, let's go back 40 years. What are you fascinated by? But I am fascinated because I can honestly say I'm not sure I liked you back then, and I'll tell you why. I always felt like you had an anger or a rage in your eyes way back then. And so I didn't really remember you or whatever. And I just saw it. I was like, oh, that's the guy who always looks like he wants to. But that's also where we're at in life. God knows what your surrounding was and what you were dealing with back then. So to go from that to, how would you define yourself right now? Well, how does Eric Nies define where he's at in life?
Freedom, liberation, healthy, present, in the moment, in service, happy, fulfilled. All those
How'd you get
words.
there? Where does this start? Where does this revelation start? Because I'm assuming it snapped somewhere and then progressively turned into what it is now. Walk me through this process. I'm fascinated. I love it.
I would say my first spiritual experience was the real world, is where, where it all started for me. And just like you said, I saw this guy and this look in his eye. I don't know what it is, but I didn't like it. It seemed like he was angry, and I was. The real world was like my first real spiritual experience for me, because I got to watch myself on TV, and I didn't necessarily like what I saw. And I was, deeply analyzing myself as I was watching it. But at the same time, becoming very famous. So you had the allure and the attraction of the entertainment industry and all that fame, but I had a lot of suppressed emotion in my body from the things that happened to me in my childhood. And a lot of, and some of it, I wasn't aware of it. I didn't have memories of it. I had amnesia when it came to some of these things. So that was really the first eye opener for me. And then as I became very famous, there was a manager that came into my life that manipulated me, brainwashed me, stole all my money, destroyed my relationship with all the networks, and ultimately would brainwash me to the point of molesting me. And
Wow.
and this was a very dark time for me. It was when I was introduced to the Illuminati and the New World Order and all this dark satanic stuff, and went down that rabbit hole. I spent about 6 months in a library in New York reading and studying about these royal bloodline families and Knights Templar and Illuminati and all that kind of stuff when I was 22, 23 years old. So that's 30 years ago. That brought me, I'm just going to give you the quick one. So
and then I'll pick away. I'm already like, oh my God, I'm writing that down. Oh, okay, we got to get back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to go quick and then we can chat. So then that happened. I was on the verge of suicide, ready to take my life. Heard a still small voice in my head for the very first time, told me to just go home. Had to process all that. And then shortly after that, I met my Grandmaster, who was an 8th generation Vietnamese Grandmaster of Chinese medicine, 21 Den black belt, 3 different martial arts. His mom was the queen of the mountain people of Vietnam. He was trained since he was 2 years old. I lived with him and his family for about 7 or 8 years. And he shared some things with me about my future, my life, why I'm here, my purpose and all that, my mission. And it stuck. And I stayed there. I trained with him for a long time. And then after that, went out on my own, started doing long fasts and cleanses in the desert, became a raw foodist, started meditating and yoga, doing all that. And then that brought me to creating a program to rehabilitate and heal drug addicts. That came to me in the desert. That brought me to plant medicine, ayahuasca, and been in the ayahuasca tradition for a little over 15 years. I've participated and facilitated in over 700 ceremonies. And so this is what I do. I assist people and I walk them home. I help them to understand and remember how to liberate their souls from suffering, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And a humble guide.
Wow.
In a nutshell.
Wow.
Oh, and I got a friend that lives across the street who does goat yoga.
I heard about this. I heard about the goat yoga. I heard about the goat yoga. Anything goat related always comes up on my doorstep. I was like, hey, goat, hey, this goat and this screaming goat and goat juice and goat grass and all this jazz. Wow. All right, Eric, you threw so much out there. Can we start with the dark?
Yeah.
Let's start with the dark, because this is what people don't understand, how easy it is to be manipulated, mind, soul, and spirit. I was easily manipulated because at that age when you're a baby, you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, you're a baby and you want to be, did you at that time before MTV, I'm assuming you wanted to act or what did you want to, how did that, why what were you trying to do before MTV came along?
Yep.
Like, what were you?
No, I grew up in an athletic, competitive family. My
Okay.
uncles, everybody, college, professional sports. My father was a ref in the NBA. My brother played college football. You know, we were just sports, 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 sports. We weren't talking about being a model. We weren't talking about acting. That was
Right.
nowhere in the conversation. Things got legally um, traumatizing for me in my high school years of getting in trouble
Mm.
because I was acting out from all this trauma in my
Yep.
childhood that I was experiencing. And so when I was 17 years old, I was in a situation in school where I was dangerous to the rest of the kids. They suggested that I leave school, which I did. I got my GED. And my mom said to me, you know, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? If you're not going to play sports and you're not going to follow in the traditions, you know, of our family, you know, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. And my mom was a nursery school teacher for 50 years, and she was a storyteller. And I used to
Mm.
go there and hang out with the kids all the time and tell stories. And my mom used to do this thing called Hat Rack, where we went to the library, the local library, and there would be like eight people up on stage, and they would put different hats on and tell stories with the hats that they had on. So she loved theater. So she said to me, honey, you got to do something. Why don't you try acting? I'm like, acting? I don't want to do acting. You know, like, what
Right.
am I going to do that for?
Right.
And then a friend of ours became like one of the top 3 male models in the world. And he came to me one day and he was like, you know, you could make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like, okay, well, I need to make money. I was partying, I was in the club scene in New York 4 nights a week. Um, you know, the story.
Yep. 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 So that's the MTV world, and now you're famous. Um, you got into a subject that's so big right now and has absolutely exploded. And it was one of the most frustrating things in my life to go through, meaning, you know, I left everything around 99, 2000, and it always cracks me up. People are like, oh, you're washed up. No, like, no, I left. I was peaking.
Yeah.
And I saw enough. Quite frankly, I had the shit scared out of me. And thank God nothing happened to me, but others, I can't say the same. So, um, and I don't know if you're open to talking about it, but being manipulated by a manager of course you were. Of course you were. Tell me, if you don't mind, walking through that horror of
Sure.
of what led to the sexual abuse.
Yeah. So I went from the real world to hosting a dance show called The Grind.
Yeah.
And The Grind became the biggest dance show in the world. We had 90 million viewers. It was
Wow.
massive.
Wow.
This is in 93.
Yeah. But huge. Huge.
There wasn't even an internet. So, and the only reason it was that was because MTV was satellite. So
Yes.
I'm on the show one day, and CNC Music Factory comes on to perform. And this guy, his name was Gary Henry, Gariano Lorenzo, he called himself, came with CNC Music Factory, and he worked with David Cole and these guys. And at that time, I was also connected to a guy by the name of Dick Scott, who was the manager of Mark Wahlberg, Boys to Men, New Kids on the Block. And so I was first I was approached by Dick Scott. Dick Scott actually approached me at Astor Place when I was getting my hair cut. And then he introduced me to this guy, Gary, because he wasn't sure what to do with me because I was a personality. I wasn't
Right.
an actor. I wasn't anything. I'm the first
Yes.
person in the reality world to come out and be in that spotlight and on that stage. So
Mm.
nobody really knew what to do with me at that time. So this guy Gary, man, the manipulation was unbelievable, bro. It's hard to describe, but it took him about 3 months to get to me. Wined and dined me. Went to lunch with Roberta Flack. Hung out with George Benson. Was in Sylvia Robinson's house from the Sugar Hill Gang. You know, like I was just in that circle. But you know, at the same time, bro, I'm 100 miles an hour right now, and I got my whole crew with me, all my boys from New Jersey. Everywhere I went, these guys were with me all the time.
Mm.
And so he slowly got into the inner circle. And
Mm.
it was like, bro, it was like he knew me inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
He did his homework. He
Mm-hmm.
knew what to say, what not to say. And so as crazy as it may sound, as he came into the inner circle and I let him in and then ultimately would give him power of attorney to do all my business,
Oh, wow.
he and now he's starting to share information about the Illuminati that in 1993, bro, no one was talking about that. It was
Zero.
nowhere.
What is he sharing? Like what? So tell me, you're sitting down, you're having dinner, and the abuse hasn't even started. The sexual abuse. What does
Not
he
yet.
start? So he's massaging you. Tell me. I got to hear this.
Yeah,
Tell me.
no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the details. This is exactly what happened. He told me he used the Illuminati and he used what was happening in the music industry and the entertainment industry and how it operates. Who's at the top? Who are the players? Why the entertainment industry even exists? And
Why does it
and
exist? What do you say? Why does entertainment exist?
to control information, to manipulate and control people into brainwashing them into believing something that's not true and it's an illusion, and to convince you to poison yourself and take these drugs and eat this food and become a zombie in this illusion of this matrix that is all about manipulation and control.
Dress this way, have sexual desires this way, all of it.
All of it. And
Ah,
so
yes.
I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm 23 years old, and my boys are with me too, who are also taking it in. So we're like, whoa, this is crazy. And then one day he said to me, he goes, true statement. He said, I need to give you this information for your future because you're a chosen one.
Oh, oh,
So
oh,
so so
okay.
now so now he's putting me in the place of I have this big responsibility to share this information that now only I know and a couple of my friends with my family and my friends and the people that I care about. Now I have a big heart. I'm a giver. I've been that way my whole life. I take care of people. I show up for people. I'm very generous, compassionate, and an empathetic person. So that struck a chord with me.
Mm,
Now I'm really angry. Wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that there's this dark evil force out there that's trying to manipulate and control everybody and even
mm.
kill people? Whoa. So I went down that rabbit hole and I went crazy. And so I at that moment when he said to me, I need to transfer this information to you, that's what started the sexual contact. And so he basically told me that he was dying because of something that happened to him, again pulling my heartstrings, would pretend to pass out and play this whole victim card and me and my friends would be sitting there, we'd be hanging out, and all of a sudden he would like pass out, and we didn't know what was wrong with him. So he tells us the story how he's sick and that he needs help, and this woman that he was in a relationship, hit him over the head with a vase, and he doesn't have relationship with women. He can't be in a relationship with women, so then he gets blue because he can't off, and because the memories come back, bro. It was so twisted, so deep, so crazy, and I believed it. And I'm thinking that I got to bring this information to the world, and I got to save myself and my family. This guy's dying. And that's how he pulled me in and he got me. And the moment that it happened when that happened, I was so distraught, so lost, so emotional. I was crying my eyes out while this was happening. And that brought me to the point of I have no way out. Because I'm shutting out my family, I'm shutting out my friends, I'm shutting the whole world out. And now this guy's got me locked in, thinking that I have to receive this information to help everybody, but I'm locked out from everybody. And so my mind was just completely twisted. And then from that moment, after that happened, and there was another friend that kind of came in that was like supporting it in a way. He's like a bisexual guy, and he was totally cool with that. And also for me, it wasn't difficult for me to do that because what happened to me as a child, being molested as a child, and then also losing my virginity to a woman who raped me. My first sexual experience that I had when I was 8 years old was with my best friend, who was a boy. So I already had these feelings and things going on inside of me of masculine, feminine, men, women. Like, it was just all bouncing around, and it was all very confusing and very traumatizing. And I was suppressing and pushing all of that down. So anytime that I would get into a situation, bro, and somebody would trigger that, I mean, I was the kid who's, when the switch got flipped, I could easily pick up a knife and chase you down the street, and potentially I could kill you. That happened with my brother a number of times.
Wow.
So, yeah. Well,
I'm blown away by the amount of energy, the amount of theater, the amount of mind manipulation just to lure you in. And I try to explain this to people over and over and over. Well, how does it happen? It wouldn't happen to me, and blah, blah, blah. It's so easy to happen. If you have your eyes set on something, it's very easy to be manipulated. If the person keeps going, I can bring you there. I can bring you there. And then drugs get involved. And then and there's no way he didn't know you were sexually molested, because there's times when I'm in situations, I know in someone's eyes, their path in life. You go, oh my God, that I don't want to know what happened to that human being, but I can see it. Oh, something horrible happened to that human being. Look at their eyes. Wow. Okay. So just a question: when he would bring up, quote, Illuminati and how it works and blah blah blah, did he throw out names that blew your mind that were involved? You don't have to say them, but
you mean people in the business?
Yeah, that are involved in it and all that jazz. Okay.
Yeah, because I was more, what I was doing was researching the origins of it.
Got it.
I was walking around New York City with a pen and a piece of paper with my friends, looking at statues and the design of the city and Washington and the whole thing, the sacred geometrical patterns and all that stuff.
There's a lot of things going on here. You should do a class on how to, it drives me crazy too. And I'll say, hey, when you walk in a place and you see the checkered floor, Wait, you think that's purpose? You think that's a well-designed? Oh, what? The black and white checkered floor. What? All right, never mind. Hey, you ever see that one particular statue? You think that's just kind of
Right.
interesting design?
Yeah.
What? Okay, never mind. Isn't it bizarre how many people are just so clueless? It's mind-boggling how many are just clueless of so many things. Or they just don't want to face it. It's one of those two, which clearly you have gone past that realm. I'm slowly, I am passing that. I've passed it. It's in my past of the frustration of people not knowing.
Right.
So, okay, you're at the point where it's going down, and then while it's going down, I would assume you feel completely lost, completely stolen. Your life is stolen. Guilt, shame, all the things that bring you to the point where you may oust yourself and take yourself out. And did he ever hold any type of guilt over you, like, or a bribery, meaning like you don't want, or in your head was like, God, I don't want anyone to ever find out about that? Because you just being so truthful about this, I'm going to say, has healed so many people already. Everything you just said in the last 3 minutes, in my opinion, has healed a lot of people listening. So whether you realize it or not, and there is a great saying, one person could change the whole world for the better as long as they don't give a damn who gets the credit. And I'll give you credit right now for being so honest, because you have healed people already just from what you've said. So, wow. At this point in your life, how do you get out of that? How do you get out of? Does he die? What happens to him? Like you're already getting through what you go through. You're going through it. You bring in the other friend. He's now helping with the whole thing. Where are you going from here? Yeah, go ahead.
He could have died.
Okay. You don't know.
Well, I have at that time in my life. I mean, they're still friends. I consider them family. But once my circle, my family knew, not all the details, but what he did. I put him in jail. I brought him to court. He got himself out. He was deeply connected. I didn't want to spend any more money trying to chase this guy, because I realized that it was, I was going down a dead end road. He was just going to get himself out, because he introduced me to people within the circle, powerful people that, control and manipulate the system. So, I had friends that came to me and said, you just give us the green light and it's done.
Yes.
And I sat with that for a little while, and then I went back to him. I said, I can't live with that. So
wow.
So I let that go. And then what happened is many, many, many years later, which I think you'll appreciate this story, when I started working with ayahuasca, because you're asking me how did I move on from this, right?
Yeah. So how do you're young, you're still in your 20s, right, Eric?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Which is a very delicate time in life. So you're like mid 20s, and now he's out of your life and all this. Now there's kind of an avenge thing. You bastard. I didn't realize you did something wrong. And everyone's else like, no, we're taking him down. Now you're on that path. I'm going to take you down. We all been there. I've been there. Oh, no. You're paying for this. You're going to be paid. You're going to be exposed. That last. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big energy. And I have it in me. Remember I told you about the temper tantrums and with my brother? Yes. It's in there. So
it's in all of us. I don't care what anyone says. It's in all of us.
Exactly. Whether
Been
you
there.
recognize it, acknowledge it, or whatever, but it's in there.
It's in there. I don't care what anyone says. I will. I can confess that I've had extremely dark, violent thoughts towards situations, not different situations. So, and those are very self-learning moments of which path to go on.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, what comes? Because my God, there's so many things here. You talked about the Chinese, like before you even
That's
get
where
there.
I'm going.
Yeah. How's this happen? How does this happen? You're
I'm gonna go.
wandering.
Yeah.
Where
I'm
are
gonna give.
you?
I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna bounce, but I'm gonna pull it together for you, and then you'll be
Yeah.
able. And then I'll give you a little more. So I meet my teacher, my
How?
Grandmaster,
How?
through my brother. My brother met him 4 years before me. His girlfriend had a problem with her ovaries. She went for help. He talked to me about this guy for 4 years, but I couldn't hear it. This was when I was, super famous. I couldn't hear Grandmaster, but he's my brother and I love him, and so the stories were always awesome. So I was at rock bottom, dark, 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 party in Hollywood, up all night, last person up, and I hadn't seen my brother in a while, and he came in, and the next day he said, um, I said, "Well, what are you up to?" He goes, "Oh, I'm bringing Sal and Sal and Jack to go see the Grandmaster." And without hesitation, I said, "I'm coming." I knew I needed help. I was in a bad, bad way. So we all went to go see him, San Jose, California, from Los Angeles. That's where he lived. I went there. I was there for 4 days, and the day I left, I was just crying, and my brother said to me, "What's wrong?" And I said, I don't know. I feel like I'm home." And while we were there, his wife came out and said, "The Grandmaster said you can ask him 4 questions." And my 4 questions were, can you help me? Will you train me? Can you make me as powerful as I can be? And how did they build the pyramids?
That was your 4 questions?
Mm-hmm.
Eric, this is, oh my God. Okay.
So
this is amazing. All right, go ahead.
So I left his house with a big box of herbs because when I sat there with him, he did a vibrational reading on me, and he said to me, "Excuse me if anybody's Asian, but I'm going to do a little bit of an accent. Anytime I talk like him, I have to use his accent. It's my connection."
Yeah, you're
with
imitating your buddy. I do the same thing.
So,
If you're German, my German friend, he talks like this. It's not racist, but if we do Chinese, all of a sudden it's racist. It's not racist. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I went there and he did me, and he goes, "Oh, your blood like mud. You keep doing what you're doing, you die in 10 years from blood clot." And he put the fear of God in me right there. And I knew that I needed help. And then he said to me, he goes, "Okay." He said, "You want me to train you? I train you. You go home, you take these herbs for 3 months, you clean your blood, and when you're ready, you don't call, just come back. You show up at the door." And 3 months later, I showed up at his door, and my training began with him. And in the early stages of my time with him, he came to me and he said, you remember that man who you let do that to you?" And I was like, "What?" Because I didn't tell him.
Oh, wow.
He said,
Yeah,
"You
he
remember
knows.
that man who did that to you?" And I was like, "You talking about Gary?" And he said, "Yeah." He go, "He a good man." And bro, I just was like boiling inside. And
Wow.
he goes, "In your future, you understand. But first, we train." And then years later, bro, like, I don't know how much longer, but I'm in the jungle in the Amazon in an ayahuasca journey, and I'm on my mat, in the jungle and I'm battling inside. I feel sick, pain, anger, rage, the whole thing, right? This was in the beginning of when I started to address all of the suppressed emotions in my body from the experiences in my life. And after about an hour of that, I screamed in my head, "What am I fighting?" And in a moment, his face appeared in front of me, the manager. And I hear these voices. I hear this voice. If he didn't come into your life at that time, you would be dead. And I was on a self-destructive path using drugs because I was trying to numb myself from all the pain from the trauma. So they held me in this anger and rage about what he did to me. And then it flipped, saying that, you know, if he didn't come into your life and do that to you at that time and shake you up, you would have killed yourself. You would have destroyed yourself. And then they brought me into gratitude for him saving my life, that he was like an angel who came into my life to do that to me. And I cried for like 2 hours. And I released all of this anger and pain and resentment. But that would bring me into a healing journey, bro, of 700 ayahuasca ceremonies. 300 of those ceremonies have been by myself, drinking by myself, because my path is about the liberation of not just my soul, but my ancestors, my lineage. And it goes back a long ways. And so you're hearing now a lot of people talking about ancestral lineage healing. My lineage is healed. And my Grandmaster told me about this when I was in my early 20s. And the training that I did with my Grandmaster was to prepare me and to get me ready to be able to sit and hold a frequency of discomfort, of pain and abuse and molestation and rape and all of that, going back many, many, many generations within my lineage. So I'm the one, the chosen one. I chose myself within my lineage to be the one to do it for the rest of the lineage. And there's others that, you know, speak about this, that also are doing this work. And so for many years, I've been guiding people with the techniques that I learned from my teacher, from Vipassana meditation, from ayahuasca, from the dragons and the jaguars and the lions and all these different spirits that I work with that have assisted me over many, many years to understand how to liberate a soul from suffering.
Holy camole. When he was training you, what was some of the training that started really, really hitting you and bringing you enlightenment? I would assume, I don't know if that's the right word of guidance that he was training you for.
Mm-hmm.
He's training you to face what you eventually faced in the ayahuasca.
Correct. To be able to face discomfort.
Interesting. I mean,
pain, suffering.
Was it probably fear, all that too?
Yep.
Was he the one that suggested the ayahuasca?
No, I found that
I didn't think so.
later. Yeah.
I didn't think so. how much time did you spend with him before? It sounds like your ayahuasca journey started after him. How much time did you spend with him, and where did your life go with him? Like, are you with him every day? Are you visiting? It's 4 years. Are
Right.
you there, once a week? Like, what is that process?
Yeah, I spent about 7 years going back and forth from New York City to his house in Los Gatos, and I spent about anywhere from 6 to 8 months a year with him, and then I would go back to New York because I had a company at the time in New York, an entertainment company that my own, that I wasn't working with the networks and everything because I obviously didn't want to work with them. I wasn't trusting them at that time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But the training that I did with my Grandmaster, I trained in what's called Iron Palm. And you train and you work with the elements. I wasn't so much learning a style as far as like a kata, a style like Shaolin, although I trained a little bit of Shaolin, and most of the training that I was doing was in Taekwondo. But the training that I was doing was more pushing myself to the threshold of, are you going to be able to hold this amount of energy and discomfort that I am putting upon myself?
Mm.
So, a lot of my training was, being in horse stance, which is, a squatted, where your legs are out wide and you squat down, and then having my hands in a certain position, in a certain mudra, and then staring at an incense for a long period of time without moving and emptying the mind, being very, very, very still, but then also doing thousands and thousands of punches and kicks. One day he tested me to see what I could do, and I did 5,000 kicks in one day from 6 in the morning until 8:30 at night with a 30-minute break for lunch. I did axe kicks all day long, 5,000. So it was pushing the limits of what my physical body, could handle. Holding a knuckle push up, I was doing fingertip handstands, fingertip push ups, training my hand to absorb the energy of wood, stone, iron, and that's where iron palm comes in. These techniques where you work with an element and you absorb the energy of that element, and it transforms your bones, your ligaments, and your tendons.
You're like the real life Karate Kid at this point. This is like the true Karate Kid, and the bully is within you. I mean, this is
Yeah,
exactly what it sounds like.
yeah.
So after that,
Mhm.
when do you decide, or does he decide you're good to go? Before we even get to that, did he ever answer any of your questions?
You're talking about one in particular?
You had four. Yeah. Let's start with the
Yeah.
pyramids. What do you say about the pyramids?
Um, he did not. He responded to it. See, the thing about my Grandmaster was that he never would give me an answer to something. He would make me search and work for it,
He
which
make
I
you
get.
answer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Find it. It's in you. And there's things that are blocking that information from you accessing that information. So, then he would talk to me about karma, how to clear karma, or how to break through your monkey mind, and how when pain comes up and you react to it, how do you not react to it? And
Right.
then what happens? What comes up when you break through something like that? And, that's true empowerment. If you just give everybody the answers, you take their power away.
There's no
It's like
searching.
with information.
Right.
Let's flip that. If we
Okay.
don't give everybody the truth and we make something else up and they think that it's one way, but it's another way, what happens to their mind? Now it's easy to control lots of people because they don't have all
Yes.
the information, but they're using it in a manipulative way to control people. So you can use it in a negative way or you can use it in a positive way, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah.
very okay. So now how do we get to the ayahuasca? Is that the next big step? Is the ayahuasca? And how does that come about?
Yeah.
How does that come about?
So this 15 years ago, when I was still working on myself, I had a realization in the desert that created my program to help rehabilitate drug addicts. I'm obviously rehabilitating myself. So
Yeah.
I'm creating a program based off of my own personal experience of saving my own life and deprogramming me from the programming of my ancestral lineage. So I'm like I'm in a labyrinth playing chess, and it's a puzzle, and I'm in the mystery of the unknown, and I'm just searching and looking and still going. So I was looking for ways because I saw that the rehabilitation system was terrible. The percentage of people that were coming out of the uh, conventional
Steps. Yes.
rehabilitation program was minimal, and so I was looking for another way. And at that time, I was in Los Angeles. I became a raw foodist. I was doing a lot of yoga, and then all of a sudden, some people started inviting me to go to do ayahuasca ceremonies. And I wasn't. If I said to myself, if I'm going to do ayahuasca, I'm going to go down to the jungle. I'm going to do it with the people down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so along the way, I became friends, and then ultimately she would become my spiritual grandmother and mentor. Her name's Mona Palaka. She's one of the 13 indigenous grandmothers. It's a council of grandmothers that came together through a prophecy. They travel the world and they bring their medicine and their knowledge to the world. And we met and we became friendly. And then I felt the calling of ayahuasca. It was time. So I called up Grandma Mona. She connected me with two of the other grandmothers, two of them that live in the jungle in Brazil. And I was on my way to Brazil to do ayahuasca for the first time. That was about
And that
15 years ago.
the first one was the one when what am I fighting? And his
Oh, no.
face. No.
Oh, no. That would happen many years later.
So you did ayahuasca 700 times? Is that what you said? Or the
Yeah.
ceremony to help others? You've taken it that many times.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Because a lot of times I hear a lot is one and done. Like you get it. What you're I can honestly say you're the only person that I've ever spoke to that has done it multiple times. So after the first one, what happens on the first one?
Very first one was a very auspicious experience because I arrived there's many different traditions in ayahuasca. The one that I went to, the very first home, is called the Santo Daime.
Yeah.
And that is a tradition based around Christianity, the stories of Jesus and Mary. And there's a 6-hour canoe ride into the middle of the jungle. You get to the center. There's hundreds of people living there, over 1,000 people. You go inside this Star of David temple, and I happened to arrive after traveling for 2 days on the day of the passing of the man who found the tradition. So I literally like walked into a 12-hour ceremony with 650 people all inside this temple celebrating this guy. And
Wow.
and the grandmother who I was staying with, she introduces me to this guy. He's going to take care of you because the women are on one side and the men are on the other side. And you do this kind of dance that creates this frequency between masculine and feminine while they're singing these hymns in Portuguese. And so she said, just stay with him. He'll tell you what to do. So he goes, okay. I sing like 4 hymns. I go up to the service window. I drink some more ayahuasca. I come back and I sing some more songs. And we do that throughout the night. So my first night, I drank like 16 cups of ayahuasca over 12 hours and nothing happened.
Really?
I mean, I felt a little nauseous from drinking so much medicine, but I'm like, that's what I said. Really? I come all the way here
Right.
to do this.
Wow.
And
like
and
nothing.
I was just like, dude, nothing. And I was like, wow.
And what they say to that? Were they baffled by that, or?
No, it's like, it's kind of, ayahuasca, you'll never figure that spirit out. And logically, you're never going to understand why it happens the way that it does. All I can say is maybe it's because I was tired. I was traveling for 2 days and it just wasn't the right moment for me. But 3 days later, I go back into the same place. There was half the amount of people and I drank 7. It was a 6-hour ceremony. I drank like 7 cups that night. And when the lights came on and everybody was leaving, boom, it hit me right at the end. And I was like in the world of ayahuasca for the first time. I could see the fabric of energy in everything, in the trees, in the air. It was all this sacred, geometrical, beautiful, like web of energy that was everywhere in everything. And as I was, looking out at the trees and sitting out on this little deck, boom, I became my 6-year-old self. And I was just connected with my little boy inside. And we were there playing in these energies in the jungle. And then the grandma, Maria Alicia, she comes up to me and she's like, oh, grandson, we're going to go home now. And I was like, nah, I think I'm going to stay. I'm going to walk home. And she goes, no, you can't walk home. It's dangerous. You walk home through the jungle. It's like far, and and I was like, no, I think I'll be okay. And
it's cool.
And then I go, why do I feel like I'm 6 years old? And she looks at me and she realizes like what's going on.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking to me like a 6-year-old. And she's like, oh, my grandson. Yeah, you're seeing all the colors and everything. It's so much fun. We're going to go in the boat and the river. We're going to see the crocodiles and the birds.
There's lollipop on the thing. Come on, you're going to love it. You got balloons on there.
Okay.
You're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Come on,
okay.
Here we go. Put your shoes on.
So,
here we go.
Yes, exactly. So she grabs my hand and, start walking with her to go to the boat. Everybody's smiling and laughing. They know that I'm like 6 years old with my grandmother. And then, I go home that night and I go to sleep and I wake up from a dead sleep going, Jerumidam, Jerumidam, Jerumidam. And I'm saying this word. And I had no idea like what it was. And then I'm like looking in my book, trying to find it. And I go downstairs and I tell the grandma, and she goes, oh, grandson, she's calling you. She's calling you. And I was like, who? She goes, Grandma Ayahuasca. She goes, that's what we call her here. She's calling you. And she goes, grandson, in 3 days, Grandma has her ceremony. And I would like for you to go there and prepare the space for grandma, clean everything up nice. And so I said, okay. So I go down and bro, I just, this whole area, immaculate, fire, cleaned it up, just made little designs in the sand and, everything, bro. And then, dude, that night when I drank her medicine, I drank this much. We started at 4 a.m. with a fire and drumming. And that's more my style because I'm like a house head, like an underground house music head, like soulful Afro
Yes.
beats and all that kind of stuff. And, the drumming and the dancing and everything, bro. And that night, bro, would change my life, dude, man. It was like the portal opened up into the sky, bro, and angels and everything. And I knew, I was like, bro, this is my path right here. This is it. Yep.
And so after you see that, so is that what you see pretty much is it different every single time that you've done it, Eric?
Every time.
What is
Never
some of
the
the
same.
most fascinating or how, whatever you would describe it, what has been the moments where you're like, what was, I mean, obviously there's many. There
Here
had
it
to
is.
be. Yeah, tell me.
5 years ago, I'm in the Sacred Valley of Peru and going through, I'm like halfway through my dark night of the soul, that I was describing earlier about the healing of my lineage.
Okay.
And I'm dealing with this like black magic from these like charlatan shamans. I'm being attacked, and there's all tests and initiations and everything. And I'm sitting in ceremony, and this big giant golden light comes in, and these out of integrity shamans that I've worked with that were, had hooks in people, because it's like this in the ayahuasca world. There's just like here on earth, there's light and there's darkness. Some people
Yes.
work in the light, some people work in the dark. That's just how it is. And so I'm sitting there after this whole big thing happens with these shamans, and they get like blasted out of the room with this big golden light. And right in front of my face, boop, boop. This,
Dragon?
yeah, it pops,
dragon.
dragon face pops up in front of my face and goes down. And I was like,
Did you fear it, or was like, what is your feeling when you see the dragon?
yeah, I actually enjoy playing in the darkness. It's fun.
Wow.
It's fun for me. It's like
Okay.
I can play in that world. So I wasn't always like that, but once all these different things happened to me in my life, and then I was able to face them and look at all this darkness and all this fear and judgment and everything, the only way that I would be able to navigate through all of this was I got to be fearless and be courageous and have fun with it, because you're talking about, many years and a lot of ceremonies. And so I've developed an ability to be able to just play in these energies and these fields. So when the dragon popped up in front of me, I was just like, whoa, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And so I was in the Sacred Valley for about 4.5 months at that time, doing a lot of ceremonies. And one night after that, I was in ceremony, and it was the first time that he fully came into my body. And I'm on all fours and can feel at the tail and the claws and everything, bro. And it just, dragon was like in my body, and I was communicating with it. And so I've been developing a relationship with this dragon for over 5 years. And if you come here, I mean, if I was to show you around my place, there's dragons everywhere. It's a little 3D dragon in an egg.
Can I ask you, because I'm fascinated with, I went to Europe. They put dragons in everything. It's an Asian culture. It's also in Europe culture, but they're a little more quiet about it. And you see some of the older movies, there's always dragons. And this past year, I paid a little more attention. I noticed churches would have dragons on them. So, and I keep asking, like, what is up with the dragons? Were there dragons? Like, what, in your opinion, what is the dragon? What is it? Was it real? Did they exist? Are they, what is it? Explain to me. If you had to explain to me, like, Jim, sit down, okay? I'm going to explain to you exactly what a dragon is, where they came from, what their meaning is, and what it talk to me, Eric. Help me out here.
All right. Well, as far as my own personal experience, I have experiences with my dragon. And this dragon has assisted me in taking me into the experiences of my life, terrifying experiences, painful experiences, and then also into my past lives. Um, I feel him inside of me and around me. I have many people that come here for ceremonies, that have experiences in ceremonies and outside of ceremonies, because a lot of people are going to say, oh yeah, you're just high on whatever it is.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't, the people that say that typically have had zero experience with it.
Right.
Because all the people that I know that have had experiences with it would never say that. So I'm really discerning as far as, who I talk to, what I talk about, and how I discuss it, right? If you're not
Right.
open-minded and you're in this total place of judgment and resistance to your own stuff, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to receive and absorb the information. But, you're already talking about it. So it's like, yeah, I saw the dragons here and I see this. And it's true. If you look back into history, into ancient cultures, there's dragons everywhere.
Everywhere.
Right. And so the story is that some people, now I wasn't there and I haven't had a recollection or have been in my past life where I know that dragons existed in physical form and they're walking amongst the earth. There's some people that say that they have. That information is out there. People do talk about that. I have not yet seen that personally yet. I have seen dragons in my visions internally. So my visions would be what I'm seeing inside of myself. Have I seen with my eyes open a dragon flying across the sky? No, I have not.
Right.
Do I know people that have? Yes. People have shared with me that they feel them, they see them in ceremonies. They connect with a dragon and they fly on the back of a dragon. I've had that experience, in my process where I'm on my dragon. And when I connect with my dragon is taking me into frequencies and vibrations and into experiences of my life that that have created fears and judgments and insecurities and doubt and all those things that dim our light.
Okay.
Right? So the dragon has assisted me in clearing away the energies that are not serving the evolution of my soul and is assisting me in the evolution of my soul to expand the light within myself.
Got it. So, in a dumb me down way, do you think dragons existed or you think they're spiritual creatures? You think they existed? I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, It doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. How do you create? And this is what I tell people too. I'm like, you can think whatever you want. How do they come up with a quote mythical creature and have them in all these cultures and they all kind of look the same way? It's like creating a fake bird or creating an animal. Well, how'd they all come up with it? What did the Asians tell the Scottish, and the Scottish told these guys, like, here's, hey, when you put the thing up, put the dragon, and they dance like a dragon. It's fast. It just
Right.
boggles my mind and fascinating.
Well, how about this? The entertainment industry didn't exist back then. If you know what I mean. The media.
Yeah.
What information were they creating and manipulating? And what they've done is they've taken the ancient history and
Yes.
they have altered it and manipulated it in a way so that we aren't saying, yeah, dragons exist, pyramids exist, ETs exist, but it's written all over the walls. It's in ancient text. You got guys like Billy Carson who's out there, talking about all this. Joe's got it on his show. Everybody's talking about it.
Yes.
It's not a secret anymore. They can't
Correct.
hide it. And that's the time we're living in.
And these are great times.
Oh, yeah, the best.
I agree. I highly agree. I mean, we can look, it depends where you're looking, but I think this is the greatest. The fact that we can just even have this discussion and people are open and listen. This wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they were click, bat, kooks, drug addict.
Totally.
Yeah, okay, start going, oh, Jim Brewer's baked again, whatever.
Well, and so now that you're saying that, so just a quick disclaimer, right? Because this is what we're doing right now, right? Like, I'm here communicating and I'm talking to you and I'm sharing information with you. And the way we started this off was like, oh, this is that guy from New Jersey who was on The Real World and became, was a host of The Grind. And we know his story. He grew up in Ocean Township. He was an athlete. His mom's a nursery school teacher. Father was a ref in the NBA. But now, an hour later, we're talking about dragons, ayahuasca, spirits, trauma, ancestral lineage healing. All I'm doing, and here's the thing, I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke weed. I don't use any drugs. My diet is organic. I drink clean water that comes out of a rock. I am very, very, very conscious and aware of what I put into my body and why. I live in nature. I live in a yurt. I go on hikes. I don't have a TV. I'm not that connected to that world, but I am connected to this one. So why? Why did I do all that? Why do I walk this path? Why have I chosen to walk this path? And now here I am sharing with you about what I do, assisting to liberate souls from suffering. So I'm saying that because it's a disclaimer, because the people that are watching, right? You're going to have all different types of people that are watching this. Some people may know me from then, and some people don't.
Right.
Chances are if you're 40, 50, 60, you're going to know who I am. If you're 30, 20, you won't know who I am. So this guy's crazy. Oh, he's talking about dragons and ayahuasca. And I'm like, wait a minute. But he's just like me.
That's right.
He's from the suburbs of New Jersey.
I want to pick your brain on one little thing, because through me, just from my experiences, I feel the key to most of our answers in life in general are from the people of nature and the people that live off the earth and that are not part of whatever system you want to call this, whether you want to call it the matrix, the design plan, the new world, whatever we want to describe it. But I've learned more and more that the real answers in life come from nature, including the people from nature, whether that's Indian, whatever you want to describe it, native, tribal, they are the purest form of energy and gift of life and giving than I've learned more from them and from nature than I learned from nature. I don't want to confuse people, say like, I know about plants. What I'm saying is I can sit in nature and the energy and the light and answers that come to me are just so simple. They're so simple. Um, would you say that is probably the best, or would you say that that is a place where everyone or people should explore if they're not going to go to the lengths of obviously what you've gone through and the ayahuasca and meeting and training and all that? If you had to tell the guy at the coffee shop who's searching for things, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would say this first to everybody who's listening to this. You are air, fire, water, and earth. Your human earth suit is made up of air, fire, water, and minerals. You are nature. We are nature. So if you want to get to know yourself, if you want to understand yourself, first connect with nature. That's the foundation, the physical body. That's why nutrition is so important, because it feeds the foundation of what you are. That's your physical body. Then you have your emotional and mental body and your spiritual body. When your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental body are all connecting and firing on all cylinders, and you are present and aware to the emotional body, to the mental body, feeling your emotions, observing your mind, utilizing your mind to objectively observe your emotions. Because if you go out into nature and you're still and you're quiet and you can empty your mind and just feel and observe what's happening around you and what's happening inside of you, by the laws of nature, whatever is not in harmony with air, fire, water, and earth will and must leave your physical body. But what holds that into place, or what holds a belief system, a feeling of anger or rage or insecurity, self-doubt, whatever those belief systems are that you have created over time with your mind, is creating a discomfort, a dis-ease inside of your physical body. So the key is to be able to objectively observe your physical body's sensations equanimously. And that word equanimity was realized by Buddha. And his name lasted throughout the ages as the Enlightened One. And some believe that Jesus studied and spent time with Buddha. When Jesus traveled and went to the mystery schools in Egypt, and then he went to the Himalayas and spent time there. when he disappeared for a long period of time, from when he was a teenager until he came back when he was 30. There's a lot of historians that talk about his journey. So what I'm sharing with you is information that was left behind by the ascended masters, because this is what they practiced. What I'm sharing with you is a realization that Buddha had, that if Buddha sat and objectively observed himself equanimously with no judgment, no attachment, empty the mind and observe how you feel, that by the laws of nature, whatever's not in harmony with the elements that are inside of you, they must leave. And those energies we create with our mind. That's where fear and judgment comes in. So what's being asked of us, or what you are being asked of yourself, is to identify your fears and your judgments so that you can move more peacefully, more harmoniously from this third dimensional frequency that we've been living in for a very, very long time. And now we're moving through the fourth dimensional frequencies into higher frequencies where you can't bring fear and judgment. This is where ancestral lineage healing comes in. We have to release and let go of these energies that we are holding on into our bodies if we want to evolve into these higher frequencies and vibrations. And what I'm sharing with you is what I'm experiencing. I'm not sharing with you something that I read from a book or that I heard somebody else talk about. What I'm sharing with you is what I have personally experienced in my life. This is why I've done it. This is how I've been guided. And this is where I've arrived. And so in the beginning, you asked me, how do you feel? What would you say? Where are you at in your life? Well, I wasn't always peaceful. I didn't always feel this bliss or feel this innocence and this joy. It was quite the opposite. And the reason why I didn't feel this way is because of all the energies that I was carrying around in my body. And so this is what I've done to liberate myself from my own suffering. And this is what I share with others.
Eric, I don't think I need to go any further. I'm going to capture that whole last part. And this was an incredible experience, incredible time, incredible information. And you know what I loved most about this, that I want everyone else to understand? You didn't try to sell anything. You didn't say you need to do this. You didn't say read my book. You didn't say come join my TED. You just told your experience. And that's to me, that's all we have in life, is to learn people's experiences and take that experience and do what you will with it. Eric Nies, wow, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
hope
brother.
to see you out there one day. I really enjoyed this time with you. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much. All
Yeah,
right.
brother.
Is this
Yeah,
what I
thank
do?
you.
No, thank
Yeah.
you, brother. It's so great. I love seeing people thrive in life, period. It's so beautiful. And you brought something beautiful today. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Just if you're ever feeling the call to come
Yeah.
to Hawaii and do some goat yoga, the invitation is open.
I most likely will take you up on that. Have a good one,
Yeah.
Eric.
You too, brother.
Eric
Have a blessed day.
Nies,
Thank you.
you as well. I feel like I went on the journey with Eric. This is what I love. And a lot of you are going to judge and a lot of you are going to make comments, whatever. Everyone has their own path. Everyone has a purpose. and the deeper connection, that is what so many of us are missing, is our deeper purpose, our deeper connection. And I'm trying to learn about some of the things that Eric Nies was talking about with the ancestral, and some people, it's too much for them. It's too much for them. Wait, ancestors, what are you talking about? So you're trying to say I'm connected with the spirit? Like, I'm not expecting you to understand, but those of you that do know exactly what today was about. So for all of you that took this journey today, I hope it did something for you. Because here's a young man. He was so blatantly honest about his journey as a child, what he went through, became part of the entertainment industry, and he was huge. For those of you that are younger, you don't understand, like the way you would put your biggest names out there that exist right now. Where Eric was in life, that whole empire was that big and then some. So for that journey of all that pain, this is someone that could have took their life. This is someone that could have lashed out and destroyed someone else's life. They could have committed heinous crimes, could have ended up in prison. I'm very thankful that Eric Nies shared his journey, his visions, his experiences with us today. And I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. So I will see you next time on the Breuniverse.